Partiamo con la prima sessione. I switch to English. Ricardo, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. Only a few words to introduce Ricardo Wagner. He is currently Director of Copilot for Microsoft Americas. And as you can see from this short biography, Ricardo is an expert in the transformative power of technology, especially for artificial intelligence, with a focus on aiding individuals with disabilities. And he makes this cause a personal mission. And we found very inspiring and interesting the specific, let me say, angle, perspective from Ricardo in inspiring us about the role of artificial intelligence for the human well-being that is, as you know, the focus of our research this year. So the title of the talk by Ricardo is AI for All, How to Empower Talents with Disabilities and Unlock New Opportunities. Keywords, artificial intelligence, inclusivity, accessibility, design. So let me I leave the floor to Ricardo. Ricardo, I hand the floor over to you. If you want, you can share your screen and your presentations. Thank you again for being with us tonight. And before, sorry. Last information before to start. In Italian again. Prego tutti di prendere appunti durante la presentazione di Riccardo, come al solito, e cominciare a trascrivere le domande che vorreste rivolgere a Riccardo, che saranno ispirate dalla presentazione di Riccardo, usando come al solito il nostro sistema Pollev. Lo dirò di nuovo anche con i prossimi due relatori. Vi prego di utilizzare questa URL www.pollev.com/FUT24, che è l'URL che potete utilizzare to make questions to Riccardo. And Silvia, she will organize the final debate, selecting some relevant questions for Riccardo. Riccardo, sorry again. Now, really, the floor is yours. You can share your screen. Thank you again for being with us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Emilio, for having me here today. Buonasera a tutti. That's my Italian. I'm super happy to be here representing my colleagues from Microsoft. It's such a privilege to be here talking about accessibility, inclusive design, and how AI is empowering talents with disabilities. I'm going to start this presentation with a short video. So I just kindly ask, as soon as I start, if you can, with your voice, telling me if the video is working fine. First, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
So I'm going to now turn to a video, and I hope you're going to get the audio through. So please tell me, can you hear the audio?
Yes. Perfect.
My name is Anton, and I'm from Ukraine. As a freelance developer living with cerebral palsy, tasks like typing and speaking can be difficult, which limits my ability to communicate effectively. I realized early on that I was different from others and encountered discrimination and inequality at a young age. I always inform my clients about my disability. Moreover, I present it as an advantage because it provides me with extensive experience in solving complex and unconventional problems. When I first heard about GitHub Copilot, I was doubtful that it could handle such a complex task as coding, but I was surprised at how helpful and relevant the suggestions it gave me were. Because of my disability, it's easier to type fewer characters. I can now not only write the code itself, but also detailed comments, documentation, and project descriptions. Previously, I physically couldn't afford to do this. I firmly believe that AI has enormous potential to make a positive impact on the lives of people with disabilities. It has truly assisted me to optimize my workflow. I aim to harness the power of AI for the betterment of our lives.
that's pretty much the session. I could end with this video, right? What I love talking to Anton once, he mentioned, I have cerebral palsy, but my money doesn't, which is a powerful statement. Another story that I would love to share with you, during the pandemic, I was working at Microsoft Canada, and I received a message from a person telling us in the subject of the mail, the greatest time in human history to be blind. Such a powerful subject. And when we went through the details of the message, she shared that during the pandemic, she was living with her mother, and her mother passed away. And she's blind, and it was a difficult time for her to adapt without a close person in her home helping her in a day-to-day basis. So she ended up learning about an app called Microsoft Sing AI, built and designed by Sakip, which is a person with sight loss. He works for Microsoft, and he built an app that basically connects the camera of your phone with a cognitive service of vision. And the services describe everything around you. And in the message, she shared with us that she was using this app to find all the different objects in her home. And she ended up finding a letter that her mom wrote to her. And the app and the service could read and get her connected with her mom again. So it just gives an idea of how artificial intelligence and cognitive services are right now removing barriers for persons with disabilities. In the amazing time we are right now onboarded, experiencing how artificial intelligence and all the different cognitive services are adapting services, adapting environments, adapting tools, and connecting all of us as humans. I like to bring this perspective from a person with disabilities, but we need to get the right statement, putting this way, the right concept of how is the definition of a person with disabilities. For many generations, we were with the first definition that disability was a personal health condition. But instead, with the new World Health Organization definition, disability is a mismatched human interaction. In a nutshell, it's environments and tools are disabled, not people. Stairs make a building accessible, not a wheelchair. Video without caption is disabled, not a person with hard of hearing. A website that is not accessible for a person using a screen reader is disabled, not the person who is blind. So this is a perspective that it's important for us to understand. We build and we design things that if we, I love this quote, if we don't intentionally include, we unintentionally exclude. And by thinking from including persons with disabilities, you end up addressing a design challenge that drives innovation. And we have so many different stories and examples of technology, innovation that was designed, inspired, designed for, and with persons with disabilities that ended up helping all of us. In the traditional world, we have the universal design, as we all know, for ramps, right? For wheelchair, designing a house or a building that can let a person with mobility impairment to navigate. But in the digital side, we have what we call inclusive design. And inclusive design is a concept that doesn't mean that you're going to design one thing for everyone. You are designing a diversity of things so everyone finds a way to participate. And this concept is super interesting. If you end up building a solution for a person without an arm, this is going to work for a person who broke an arm or someone holding a baby or a laptop. The same, another example for a hearing, if you end up designing a solution for a person hard of hearing, it's going to help someone with an ear infection or someone who is assisting a customer in a noisy environment, like a barista, a bartender, right? So you end up creating solutions that you address an experience that everyone can benefit. Many people think that inclusive design will only address permanent disabilities, but no, you have temporary and situational. And many times people come to me to say, hey, Ricardo, you talk about this so passionate. Do you have a disability? I don't have disability yet, but I have plans to get older. Stats worldwide. 50% of people above 60 years old develop one or more disability. And remember, disability can be permanent, temporary, and situational. So this topic is a topic that addresses everyone across the globe. So, and that's why it's so important for all of us to bring awareness and understand what to do and how to leverage the best of technology to create inclusion, to remove barriers. In the inclusive design concept, we have just three super simple examples. How you approach inclusive design? The very first thing is you recognize exclusion. Exclusion happens when we try to solve a problem based on our own bias. So this morning I woke up in Rio, beautiful, sunny, just seemed like the amazing city. If I was born and raised only in Rio, thinking that the entire world is like a tropical place like Rio, my bias with things I will create will not consider someone living in mountains or with snow, or as I visit Iceland during winter, that was barely a day that we could see a sun. So there are so many different perspectives that we need to take in place. So the very first thing when we design a solution or an idea is recognize exclusion. Understand who is excluded. Once you understand who is excluded, you invite them to be part of your idea from the ideation process. And that's the opportunity for you to learn from diversity. And once you get to this point, you solve for one and you extend to many. By addressing an extreme, you make it work for one and you extend for many. And that's the principle and concept that we use at Microsoft. And again, we all experience exclusion. We all. Exclusion can be from a language point of view if you are unable to speak in a local language in a place you visit, or a good example from a mobility point of view. And once you make it work for a person, for example, using a wheelchair, it's going to work for parents using stroller, teenager using a bicycle, kids using a skateboard. Everyone will benefit from the concept of universal design. At Microsoft, we ended up learning from so many different projects. And one of the projects that I'm super passionate is about Xbox. Microsoft recently, I would say recently, it was 3 to 4 years ago, we noticed that many kids with disabilities, especially kids with mobility impairment, they were unable to use the Xbox controller. So we ended up building the Xbox Adaptive Controller. The Xbox Adaptive Controller, in a nutshell, you have the controller that you can connect with many different devices, and you can print in 3D. So depending on the mobility and what you have available to move, either your head, your shoulder, finger, like you adapt the controller to your needs and the way you interact with the technology. And the Xbox Adaptive Controller ended up enabling gamers with disabilities to play. But here's an interesting thing. The day that we launched the product, we came up with a situation to say, how are we going to pack the product? How people are going to open the box and experience? And again, we invited people with disabilities to help us to create a package for the Xbox Adaptive Controller. What we learned from them, many of them were using their mouth with teeth to open up the box, which was something that we didn't want. But we ended up with a very smart way of just pulling and getting like the box unpacked quickly. So you could easily get access to all the different devices that were inside the box. This technology, which is paper, is now the package for all the Microsoft products. But it's the simple idea of when you are designing, don't assume that you know the situation of what the person or the people are going to face. Instead, invite them and make them part of the fabric and let them help you to design what you're looking for. That's why we call nothing about us without us. Here's the Super Bowl video that we launched when we had everything set for the Xbox Adaptive Controller.
My name is Ian.
I'm Taylor. My name is Owen, and I am 9.5 years old.
So Owen was born with a rare genetic disorder called Escobar syndrome.
He's had 33 surgeries to date.
I love video games, my friends, my family, and again video games.
It's his way of interacting with his friends when he can't physically otherwise do it.
What I like about the adaptive controller is now everyone can play. You can just say, all right, that's that one, that's that one, that's that one. Perfect.
One of the biggest fears early on is, how will Owen be viewed by the other kids? It's not different when he plays.
No matter how your body is or how fast you are, you can play. It's a really good thing to have in this world.
Everybody plays, we all win. If you study like the reasons we have so many solutions or environments or things that are not designed for everyone, we can find answers in the Industrial Revolution time and many examples of the concept of average for the majority. A really nice book for you to explore is The End of Average by Todd Rose. He brings a good example that happened in the aviation during the Second World War. There was a design of an aircraft that unfortunately pilots were unable to control, and they had so many reports of accidents and it was just causing deaths, and they were just discussing ways that they could make the airplane safer. And what they learned from this exercise, they invited more than 1,000 pilots, and they measure everything from the pilot, their head, their neck, their arm, hands, finger, everything. And they got to an ideal pilot, an average of all sizes. And they ended up creating the cockpit. What they learned after facts was no matter the pilot you pick from the source, like 1,000 pilots, when you get them inside the cockpit and you ask them to perform 10 simple tasks, all pilots, they were missing at least one task because the cockpit was not fitting entirely to the body. So that time they learned that they needed to create an adjusted cockpit, an adjusted clothes, adjusted helmet, so people could adjust the accessories and also the cockpit to their needs. So this is the reason why we have, for example, the cockpit in our cars, where we just make it suitable for our condition. This is unbelievable that just happened. And the reason why today you go inside your car and you adjust your car for your needs. We understood that we need to adapt the environment and tools to people, not trying to make it work for the average. And for designers in the digital world, we are no longer in the industry revolution. We are in a digital era, now moving to the AI. And still, there are so many people thinking in average. Like if you ask people to tell the opportunity, if you see a dinosaur sleeping on the horizon, so I hope you've never seen a dinosaur, but just think, you see like the back of the dinosaur, people are going to say, hey, this is the opportunity. Let's go here in the average. What about the head? What about the tail? Oh, this is niche. We look for this afterwards. So let's maximize first the average and then we move on. But in the digital world, it's the opposite. If you make it work for the extreme, you end up create experience for everyone. So if you only look the average, you miss the innovation of opportunity. So that's why I truly believe that inclusion, because by ending up creating solution that fits to everyone, you ended up creating innovation. So this is a beautiful concept that you end up creating economic prosperity as well as social inclusion by creating solutions for persons with disabilities. That's why I state this as inclusion is an engine for innovation. And what are the things we are seeing today that from a Microsoft point of view, we are adapting our software and services to benefit everyone. There are so many different cognitive services today that is empowering people with disabilities. At school, as an example, teachers today can give a Word document to kids to read. For example, imagine that you are all students. I send you a document, you turn on your camera in a room and you start reading. and the software will scan everything you say, will tell me as a teacher things that you had mispronunciation, omission, the time you spent reading. It will end up helping the teacher to give personalized education to every single kid in the room. So just an example of how AI now is changing the way that people are consuming content at school. Another one you can do with Teams. If you happen to have dyslexia, so many kids with disabilities with dyslexia were invited to, parents were invited to look for special education, schools that could fit the kid because kids were unable to read. They have dyslexia. And the problem was not the kid, the problem was the school and the system and everything that the school was using, because what they were using were disabled. We have a solution called Immersive Reader, where inside Teams or at the website, Word, Outlook, no matter the services you use, you have an immersive reader experience that you can change colors, you can change languages, you can ask AI service to tell you verbs, adjectives, adverbs. So all the things that a person with dyslexia can interact and consume content. Think about translation services or even suggested reply for a person with mobility impairment or a person neurodiverse or someone as a foreign language speaker in a chat. So you already have suggested replies coming as part of the solution, not only on your phone or web or in your computer. When you are presenting, like what I'm doing here, I can turn on a service called Speaker Coach, will tell me if I am speaking slowly or if I'm speaking too fast, if I am letting people who are raising their hand to make questions participate. At the end of the session, I will have a report telling me how many words I said per minute, filler words, words that I repeat often, tips and tricks to make me a better presenter, like not saying, or language. Hey guys, you don't say hey guys because there are men and women in the room. So how you separate? So this is like the kind of services that people can use and consume today inside Teams or PowerPoint. I have a list of many examples, like the captions on Teams. You can set up and have a conversation, and language today is not a barrier anymore. As I'm talking here, you can follow this presentation in captions in Italian. I could pick and choose other languages if I want to speak. Looks like I speak a lot of language. In fact, I speak English and Portuguese. But I could speak in Portuguese and make the entire session here with captions in Italian. It would work as well. So the services is embedded, built in. And now we are at another level, which is now the generative AI. So we now have another cognitive services called Azure OpenAI. And the Azure OpenAI brings the services of generative AI built in, embedded in all Microsoft 365 apps. So as an example, I can ask Copilot, and Copilot can quickly tell me, for example, if I want to follow a meeting, I cannot join that specific meeting because I have a different appointment. I can ask Copilot to follow the meeting, give me a summary of what discussed, give me notes. I can also interact with Copilot to ask, did they discuss about A, B, and C? Oh, yes, it was discussed. Did they create a proposal for a new hire? Like, I can interact with my generative AI, who will scan what was discussed and give back to me. So this gives everyone another level of productivity. What I'm hearing from my colleagues with sight loss and blind at Microsoft, they are just telling me that this tool is just helping them to be super focused on what's going on in the meeting and not worried with what's going to be in terms of meeting notes. Just going super quick now for a closing. You're no longer going to pass through a situation where you join a conference call, the meeting started late, or you joined late, and you want to get a recap of what discussed. So you join the meeting and you ask Copilot, what was discussed so far? And you're gonna get the points that was just discussed. We have examples of Copilot in PowerPoint, in Word, in Excel, in all different apps. I will just present this one for the PowerPoint. I will let you later on check the deck that I sent to the team so you can see the demos by different apps. So you just go in PowerPoint and say, create a presentation using this document that I wrote. Could be an article, could be a paper, and PowerPoint will design and create a content for you. And you can add it and ask Copilot as your guide to help you get the perfection of what you're looking for. So the key message that I would love to leave you all here today is thinking of the potential of what AI can do. Understand that AI is already benefiting lots of people, especially vulnerable people and people with disabilities. And this era of AI is not just an opportunity, but also a responsibility. And let's ensure that we don't leave people behind in the era of AI. The key takeaways that I would love to share today, think about the average. And this is the end of the average in the era of AI. So the more we apply ideas for the extreme, we end up creating experience that benefits everyone. And thinking of this is an engine of innovation. So indeed, disability is an engine of innovation. The other one, designing for one, extending to many. That's the way that you end up creating usability and experience to everyone. And I hope, as I presented today, you, like me, believes that AI removes barrier. And if we work hard to adapt tools and environments and ensuring we all connect as human beings with each other, we're going to create a world that is more inclusive. So on behalf of my team from Microsoft, which I'm representing, I'm going to just leave the last slide here that I present, but I want to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to join today. I'll be here in the call watching the other presentations. Don't worry about the language, just keep the presentation in Italian. I can follow here. And if you happen to want to connect and talk a little bit more with me, I'm leaving here the barcode. You just scan and you get to my LinkedIn profile. Thank you so much.